Prepares for Hurricane Lee. I speak with a local meteorologist who talks about how they're getting ready.
And we take a look at the concerns of those in the path of Lee and what they're wanting to be done to prevent extensive damage.
Plus, after devastating natural disasters in North Africa, how the world stepped up to help those countries in need.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Hi there, I'm JP Dice in for Wes tonight, and good to be here with you guys.
Yeah, awesome to have you, JP. It's so good to see you. Well, you guys know who I am too, Tania Michelle.
And I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Yes, it's such a treat to have JP here with us this evening. And JP, you just learned something really interesting today.
What was that?
That he is mine and Tania's mentor.
Oh, he sure is.
I had no, I had no clue about that. Happy to do it. Excited to do it.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about a lot of things this half hour, but first, Lauren's here to give us an update on some changes in the forecast. We actually are going to be maybe seeing a little bit more rain.
Yes, that's true. You know, we've just seen a few sprinkles around today. I don't know about y'all. The rain around today hasn't really bothered me just yet, but if you have weekend plans, there could be a little bit more wet weather in the forecast, but I'm excited about a nap this weekend, so fine by me. But let's take a check on that weather radar right now. First Alert AccuTrack. Actually, we'll start off with First Alert Sky Vision this evening. A beautiful view of the sunset that is beginning here over Birmingham. You can see temperatures are checking in right in the upper 70s, and winds are coming in out of the north at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. If you notice the dew point there, it's still a little high, so there's still some moisture in the air, even in the wake of that front coming through. So clouds right now are still sticking around, a mostly cloudy sky, and just kind of looks gloomy on our First Alert Sky Vision downtown at McWane Science Center. But as we look at First Alert AccuTrack for tonight, as I mentioned, we just had a few sprinkles around, and we do have a little bit more of some light to moderate rainfall closer to areas like Chambers County over in east central Alabama. So east of Alexander City, a little thunder shower. For the rest of us, though, just some sprinkles and a mostly cloudy sky tonight. Hey, the clouds helping to keep temperatures from being a little bit bearable this evening. Now, First Alert AccuTrack is showing that front stalled out to our south. We'll continue to see clouds streaming in from west to east tonight and the potential for a few sprinkles. Tomorrow morning, some isolated showers possible. Temperature is going to be in the 60s, and we do still have that chance of rain going into the forecast, going into the weekend as we get into tomorrow. But of course, we've also been talking about Hurricane Lee. Hurricane Lee is making its way towards the northeast, so we're going to be covering that a lot here in the show, and we're going to continue to not just talk about the science behind Lee, but how it's affecting those people in their path. And speaking of that, as Hurricane Lee passes by Bermuda today, the now Category 1 hurricane is headed towards the northeast this weekend. Laura Aguirre has the latest on how residents are prepping for a few stormy days. Okay, looks like we're having a technical difficulty there. We'll hopefully get that story to you here shortly. But in the meantime, yes, we're tracking Lee as it moves towards the northeast. And we bring in Tania now. You, Tania, have been talking specifically about how Lee is going to be impacting places like Maine and New England.
Yeah, Lauren, see, I spoke to a meteorologist up in a station up in Maine, in Bangor, Maine specifically, and he actually talked about their planning process and the challenges they've been facing while forecasting the landfall of Hurricane Lee. So tune back into First Alert Weather Extra after this short break, and we'll take you to Maine.
Good Day Alabama has all the information you need to plan the day ahead.
That's why we're in your neighborhood every morning, making sure you're prepared. When you hit the roads, we're on your side, helping you get to your destination on time and getting you back to your routine.
With everything you need to keep you and your family safe.
Trust your day with the largest morning team on your side.
So you can have a
good day, Alabama!
Well, hopefully that break was quick enough for you. Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Tania Michelle, and right now we're going to bring you, or really take you virtually to Maine, because I spoke to meteorologist Kurt Olson on their planning process as Hurricane Lee makes its way up to New England. Welcome into First Alert Weather Extra. We all know the big story right now of what's happening in the tropics and in the Atlantic Ocean is Hurricane Lee. And so today we have joining us a meteorologist at one of our sister stations up in Maine, Kurt Olson, to talk about how they're preparing for this storm and what they're experiencing right now. How are you, Kurt?
I'm good. Thanks for having me in today. Excited to talk about Lee. We're going to expect to see rain starting as well as wind starting late Friday night, very early Saturday morning. But I think the window that we're going to be watching for, where I think we'll see our greatest impacts, is going to be late Saturday morning, right through Saturday afternoon, and even early Saturday evening. Before then, Lee will start to move into New Brunswick. We'll get on the backside of the low, and then things will start to calm down. Not often here in Maine that we get to talk about a tropical system such as Lee. So for little stats, it's been the last time we had a tropical storm hit Maine. It was back in 1991. That was Bob, made landfall in Rockland, Maine. Last time we had a hurricane make landfall was Gerda back in 1969. So this is something that we don't see often, but we do get nor'easters, and that's kind of what we've been comparing it to some of our viewers, is that this is exactly like a nor'easter in the winter. This is just going to be a little bit more of a prolonged effect. So winds are going to be stronger sustained. We may see some stronger wind gusts. There's also some other things to consider, like storm surge, which will lead to some coastal flooding and things like that. Some of the preparations you're going to make for Lee are preparations that we actually already make going into winter. So for example, telling people to get their generators started, make sure they run. That's typically something that come the winter months, as we're talking about winter storms, potential for power outages. That's things that people would be doing to lead up to that. So now we're just doing it a few months in advance. Then I've also been telling people, I was like, grab some extra fuel for the generator. If you don't use it there, you're going to use it for the lawnmower. You're going to use it for the snowblower eventually. So we're just doing things now that we would eventually be doing later on in the fall season. So we're just kind of prepping a little bit earlier for, Lee and its potential impacts.
And as we just heard from meteorologist Kurt Olson, preparations have already begun for the impact of Hurricane Lee. Some homeowners have even boarded their windows and doors to help prevent damage, but concerns about coastal erosion has intensified. The vice president of the Save Our Shores Saco Bay organization wants to begin work on a new $45 million project to prevent just that. It's called the Jetty Spur Project, and it is aimed to prevent harsh waves from claiming beachfronts and sometimes homes. But even though federal funding for this project was approved by Congress, it hasn't been authorized to spend.
Even if they sign tomorrow, it'll be at least 3 years before any work is done.
So for now, the only thing residents can control is their own preparation and wait for assistance. When we return, how the weather could potentially affect the production of clothes.
And after those heartbreaking wildfires in Lahaina, hear how students are excited about returning to school. But here's a live look first at Tuscaloosa.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Good Day, Alabama.
A new morning comes with preparing right, because while you slept, news broke.
We have new information from that breaking news that happened this morning.
While you head out, the storm we gave you the first alert for is on its way in. And as the key turns the ignition, your shorter route to work is being found.
Avoid 459 southbound completely because of a crash.
A new morning means everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama, always on your side.
The First Alert traffic you need to get you there safe and on time. Tomorrow morning, everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama.
You're late, out the door, and on the go. Don't worry.
Good Day Alabama continues all morning long.
And wherever you watch, this is what you need to know right now.
More reporters on the streets with more hours of news when you need it. Everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama. Knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
And we're back. I'm meteorologist JP Dice. After back-to-back natural disasters in Libya and Morocco have left thousands displaced, humanitarian aid is now stepping up in these North African countries. Fox News correspondent Lauren Green has that story.
Helicopters help recover the remains of flood victims in the Libyan coastal city of Derna, as rescue teams from around the world comb through streets, wrecked buildings, and even the sea.
This entire city has been annihilated.
Derna was nearly wiped clean over the weekend after 2 dams collapsed during Mediterranean storm Daniel. Flash flooding in the region killing more than 5,000 people, a number that is expected to rise as thousands remain missing.
My sister, her sons, her daughter, and granddaughter, a total of 11.
The world is now rallying to help with humanitarian aid. Egypt, France, and Italy sending teams to help with search efforts, while Jordan and other countries sent food, tents, and other supplies to help the more than 30,000 people the UN estimates are now homeless. Similar relief efforts are underway in Morocco, where aftershocks were still being felt Wednesday following last week's deadly 6.8 magnitude earthquake. And so far, only 4 countries, Spain, the United Kingdom, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, have been allowed inside. Morocco's government saying poorly coordinated aid would be, quote, counterproductive.
The United States stands by the Libyan and Moroccan people.
Despite this, the Biden administration says it's ready to help and has sent a U.S. assessment team to Morocco to support local authorities. It's also made available up to $1 million in humanitarian aid. The Biden administration has also offered emergency funding to relief organizations in Libya. In New York, Lauren Green, Fox News.
And new research suggests climate change could cost the global fashion industry, you heard me right, fashion industry, billions of dollars in the next few years. This is according to a study from Cornell University and Schroders. Extreme heat and flooding are having a massive impact on 4 of the world's top garment producing countries, as they are predicted to see a 22% drop in earnings by 2030. Bangladesh, Pakistan, Vietnam, and Cambodia account for nearly a 1/5 of all global apparel exports, with Pakistan being hardest hit by the extreme weather. The study also suggests that fashion brands can help these suppliers by relocating them to nearby lower risk facilities. Still ahead on First Alert Weather Extra, meteorologist Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson have your college football and weekend forecast. But first, here's a look at today's weather almanac. We hit a high of 81 today, a beautiful shot right there from Lake Logan Martin. 81 for Birmingham, 82 Tuscaloosa, and 83 in Anniston. We're coming back.
We heard the first alert. Mom says we have to go. She says I don't have time to grab any more toys.
Need to be in your tornado-safe place. Get there right now as you have.
We have to get to our safe place because sometimes when you hear the siren, it's too late. That's why she says knowing first is everything.
We know weather can be grab the umbrella or jogging shoes, but it's so much more. It's a science, an art, led by knowledge and experience.
And no one has more of that than a WBRC First Alert weather team.
Warning you first with more hours committed to you. And the first forecast built to see weeks, days, and even minutes ahead, right down to where you live. From the team you trust on your favorite screen.
Doing the weather better. The WBRC First Alert weather team, always on your side.
The first alert is more than a warning. It's a promise. A promise to get you out of harm's way with plenty of time to spare. 4 walls and a roof can be replaced. Lives can't. That's why knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Today in a new segment called What's Happening with the Weather Extra, meteorologist Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson tell you what to expect weather-wise for your weekend plans.
Hey, Mickey.
Hey.
What are you doing this weekend?
Well, I tell you what, I'm needing myself an orchid.
Are you?
Yes.
Is that because you're seeing this graphic?
Probably.
Well, we have a lot of events happening this week, and this is just a few of them. I'm sure there's more out there, and if there's something you're not seeing, let us know. We'll make a graphic for that as well. But if you're going out tomorrow to the Birmingham Botanical Gardens, they have their Alabama Orchid Show and Sale. And it's not just tomorrow, it's going into the weekend, so if you don't get the opportunity. But we're looking at a small rain chance tomorrow, maybe a few showers or storms in the afternoon, but not too bad for tomorrow.
Have you ever had an orchid?
I have.
The flowers fell off, and the stem and I were just staring at each other for months. So
did you take care of it?
I tried, but I just had to let him go. I said, I'm sorry, I killed you.
Well, maybe an orchid isn't for you. Maybe you should just go to the fair.
All right, okay, let's go to the fair. 50% chance of showers on Saturday, but it might just linger through Sunday morning.
It could, but the fair doesn't really start till 11, so maybe it'll happen before it opens the doors and the gates. So that could be pretty good for that. We got a concert. You a big Nickelback fan, Mickey?
You think they'll charge? Are they still called Nickelback after inflation? Just kidding. And we have Brantley Gilbert and Austin Snell as well.
Well, if you're going out to Oak Mountain, this is Saturday evening. Just a small rain chance possible. Hopefully it won't be too wet, but you might just want to monitor that First Alert weather app just in case there's a little bit of rain. Hopefully we won't see much in the way of lightning. And then, of course, we got some college football. Always looking forward to it. Week 3.
All right, and it's starting at Saturday at 6 p.m. This is a look at our projected radar at that time. So we get the setup there in Birmingham. 20% chance of showers. Could see some rain, though, between Birmingham and down there towards Lee County.
Yeah, and those rain chances may go up a little bit. Instead of 20, it could be more like 30 to 40. But just plan for the chance for some rain with temperatures in the 70s for those later games. Of course, if you're traveling to Tampa, Alabama, South Florida, there's a better chance to see some scattered showers and a few storms with temperatures in the 80s. But if you're doing any of these events, of course, we encourage you to monitor the First Alert weather app for those forecasts. And hey, we'd love to see your photos. Maybe there's a nice sunset at the fair. We would love to see it right here on First Alert Weather Extra.
Or a healthy orchid.
Yes.
A nice, beautiful, healthy.
With step-by-step directions on letting you know how to take care of one.
Yes.
Have a great week.
You know, I too, Mickey, have killed a few orchids in my day, but the rest of my houseplants real happy. So hopefully everyone will be able to enjoy the orchid sale at the Botanical Gardens. Here's the thing though, as they mentioned, we do have a chance of rain in the forecast as we look here at the 7-day. As far as Friday, Saturday, Sunday, looks like Saturday may end up having the best rain coverage with not just some scattered showers, but possibly a few thunder showers in the mix as well. But you know, we just kind of had that pesky light rain around today. I wouldn't be be surprised if we still have some scattered showers for tomorrow, for your Friday. But the best part about the weekend, likely going to be later in the day on Sunday. Our next big thing is that cold front coming through, and that's going to be ushering in some lower humidity. So yeah, it's not going to be a washout Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. But I do think we're going to have some more unsettled weather in the forecast. Y'all know I love a good nap, so we got some good napping weather here over the next few days. But next week is when we'll have a little taste of fall around with that lower humidity, less moisture in the atmosphere. You'll notice on Monday and Tuesday morning, low 60s. We could even see some spots getting into the 50s. So some nice weather in store next week. We always like to see a little stretch of quiet weather around here because goodness knows we don't always get that here in Alabama. So we'll take it when we can. But hey, the benefit of having the clouds around, we have been seeing some wonderful sunrises and sunsets. I want to bring in now meteorologist Tania Michelle. Tania, you've been checking out some good looking photos on the weather app.
Oh yeah, Lauren, these are beautiful. And I tried to find some of your sunset pictures, but I got stuck with those sunrise pictures. But hey, these are gorgeous too. Keep sending them in. Here's one photo out at Lay Lake. This was sent in by Sharon Gill, and beautiful picture here. I know she soaked in some great views in person because I know these photos don't do it complete justice. As we take a look at McCalla, this is a sunrise picture sent in by Daphne Ferguson. Beautiful cotton candy mixture skies. You can see the water, just how calm and quiet it looks out there. And then out in Logan Martin Lake, Garland Broxton in this photo, everyone's hanging out at the lake, it looks like. Where's the invite? Me, Lauren, and JP would love to join you. But another sunrise picture out in Jemison. This was sent in by Doris Wortham. So beautiful. Continue to send us in those photos. And of course, download our WBRC First Alert Weather app. You can send in those photos, but you can also get weather updates on our mobile app where you can check out the future, past, and even current radar. A good tool to have. It's free. Download it from your Apple or Play Store. But of course, we got to talk more about the weather happening with Hurricane Lee. Any updates, Lauren?
Well, Tania, you too can look at Hurricane Lee updates even on our weather app. We have that tropical update, but we have been talking about Hurricane Lee headed towards New England and maritime Canada. Right now, it's passing just by Bermuda. It's now a Category 1 hurricane, but still going to be causing some impacts as it heads towards the northeast for the weekend. Laura Aguirre has the latest on how residents are prepping for a few stormy days.
Ben Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you have planned to fail.
That message reverberating among emergency planners along the northern U.S. East Coast Thursday.
Even if it's not a direct hit, are we going to experience tropical storm force winds?
Hurricane Lee is churning past Bermuda and could weaken as it travels north. Still, forecasters predict it will bring high winds, heavy rain, and coastal flooding as it barrels near or over Maine by Saturday. Storm surge alerts up to 3 feet stretch along much of New England's coast, even higher in places like Cape Cod and Nantucket, Massachusetts. Many residents say they'll ride it out.
You get to the point where you question, like, how much more can it take? But, you know, we've built it back up each time.
In Saco Bay, Maine, an Army Corps of Engineers Jetty Spur project would help reduce storm impacts and erosion. Congress has approved it, but hasn't authorized federal funds to be spent yet.
Because they haven't done anything, we're defenseless.
Some towns are taking before pictures of their coastal areas.
Being able to document what the property looked like pre-storm versus post-storm is really helpful if you have to kind of put in any type of an insurance claim.
As of Thursday, hurricane force winds stretched nearly 100 miles from Lee's center. Even at sea, this storm packs a punch. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
The Canadian Hurricane Center has also issued a hurricane watch for the New Brunswick coast to Point Lepreau in Canada. Tania?
Well, Lauren, some boarding school students who evacuated from the Maui wildfires last month are eager to return back to school. They'll be relocating to their temporary school tomorrow, and the students say the school is their home. Chelsea Davis has their story.
Kiana Kekona is cherishing moments like this with her 2 children a little more nowadays.
This is a nightmare.
Just 35 days ago, she wasn't able to get a hold of her oldest son, Nainoa, who was stuck in Lahaina as the largest fire in modern history tore through the town.
All you hear is just cars exploding and gas
all over.
I was walking on eggshells all day.
15-year-old Nainoa Ka'aikekona is a second-year boarder at Lahaina Luna High School. He and the other boarders were already on campus, moved in, and ready to start their school year. They were at the top of Lahaina Luna Road.
Could see everything. We just had like a little meeting. They told all of us to stay inside, and so that's what we did. We had breakfast in there, lunch, dinner, and we just stayed inside, kept each other company.
As the fire spread, authorities said a mile a minute. Nainoa and the other boarders evacuated campus and then had to evacuate an evacuation shelter before finally escaping West Maui completely.
All we could see was just dark smoke, guys in the water, and just cars exploding.
When he got to Maui High, he called and he asked, "Mom, are you coming to pick me up? I'm at Maui High." That was like the biggest relief, the biggest. I jumped in my car and I drove straight to him, gave him the biggest hug and told him that I loved him.
Nainoa and other Lahaina Luna High students will start school at Kuleni Hako'i High in Kihei in South Maui this Thursday. He's excited to see his friends and fellow boarders again, but says he can't wait to be back on campus doing life together again as one family.
Oh, we're so glad to see some improvements there.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I know how excited they are just to feel that sense of normalcy again.
Such a beautiful place struck by a disaster with those fires.
Yeah, and JP, you were just telling us you had actually been out there a few times.
Yeah, a few times. Never to Maui, the Big Island, Oahu, and also Kauai. Kauai is very much like what you'd expect, waterfalls and a lot of vegetation, but the Big Island, the volcano, and that's really you got to see that if you ever go to the Big Island.
Definitely on the bucket list, but so glad to see in Lahaina they are beginning to pick up the pieces in the wake of that devastation. But that is the great thing about Weather Extras. We are able to give that little extra content and not just focus on here in Alabama, but kind of expand our horizons a little bit.
What's exceptionally cool is Gray Television and the network of television stations across the country, even in Hawaii, that we can pull all the resources and talk to meteorologists there, and just like you did with our meteorologist in Maine, talking about the impacts of Lee, so we can bring a lot of extra things to Weather Extra.
That's the goal.
That is the goal. And like, listen, keep checking in because we may just make another visit virtually to Hawaii to talk to other meteorologists out there.
Or if management is listening, we could make an
in-person visit. Whoa.
And JP, you gonna fly us out there? Can you fly across the Pacific?
That's a bit of a stretch for me to go that far.
Well,
we'll have to get a boat.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take that too.
And even if y'all just want to bring us out on your boat on the lakes here, hit us up, please. Just saying. The weekend's almost here. Like, let's start small and then expand our horizons.
A lot of wonderful opportunities. You've got Smith Lake and the Logan Martin and the Lake Martin.
There you go.
You saw those sunrises and sunsets.
Okay. You're going to be looking out for those invites. In the meantime, have a safe and happy Thursday evening.